Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, no matter where you are in the world. Welcome to Raising Excellence, one of the most valuable hours of your day. I'm Michael, the MCCC for today's adventure. Today's show, Visioning. Are you wallowing in comfort? Continuing on our own Tim Flynn's Foundations of Self-Discovery. Be aware, it is Monday. This is the introduction to this week's topic. And we will also be having a weekly journaling update at the end of the show. So let us meet our other fabulous hosts. Let's start with Agnieszka, our psychosomatic illuminator,
Thank you very much. It's nice to be here.
and Willow, our trauma consultant,
Hi, everyone.
Deirdre, our development strategist,
Hello.
Tim, our expert in executive analysis,
Hi guys, nice to have a full house tonight. Great to see you.
and finally Dennis, our freedom facilitator.
Hey everybody, very comfortable to be with you.
Yeah, we do have a full house. We've got the whole complement of all of our experts here tonight. And if you are viewing live and have questions or comments, feel free to type those in. We will try and answer them as we get them. So, introduction. This is the introduction to visioning and wallowing in comfort. Who wants to begin with describing what we're talking about? Tim,
Wow.
you want to go?
Wallowing in comfort. Wow. I think we can all kind of identify with that at times in our lives. And the issue is that it has the potential to keep us stuck. So you don't grow if you're comfortable. It's stepping out of the comfort zone, getting into the discomfort zone where you learn, you get feedback, you have to adapt and respond. So come out from under your blanket, take out your binky, and let's get busy.
What if one likes comfort? What if a blanket is all I need for happiness?
Well, then you'll probably be pretty happy most of the
What if,
time.
what if I just want to stay comfortable? Who cares about some stupid dreams?
Yeah, it's everyone's choice to reach for it or to let it go.
Well, I think to some degree it is one in which we really do want to encourage people to be the person that they want to become, and if they're using comfort as kind of the barrier to really excusing themselves from becoming the person that they are. At some point in life, I think we all kind of come to that point where we realize we only got so much time on the planet, and some things have to get done.
You're
I
saying
don't know.
that
Does
if
anybody else?
I stay comfortable, I can't really achieve everything that I want to achieve in this lifetime. It's either or. I can't just stay comfortable and sit on the couch and
Not
still.
all the time.
Wait, I think he's saying you have to get comfortable with being discomfortable at times.
That doesn't sound like fun.
I like how Dennis said that, like being okay with the uncomfortableness of it. Being the uncomfortableness is what we're told. No, it's not meant to be comfortable. We're meant to be happy. It's meant to be easy. If it's not easy, then what's wrong with you? Can't you do it right? No, it's meant to be uncomfortable and tricky, and that's how you're working out how to kind of get the grasp of it.
Well, there's also that growing idea, right? We're growing up. We're becoming more, and growing means kind of entering into that area of the uncomfortable or the outside of the comfort zone, right?
When I looked at the definition, like words like assistance, support, relief, encouragement, but also contentment, being contented, and even well-being like came up, and it like and that puts me up to the journaling later on. Like I went down some kind of pathways where I actually come to realize that my associations or how I would define comfort is like I think it's way it's far away from what most people would associate with it. It became really clear to me not too long ago that comfort for me is really like I have negative associations with comfort, like strongly negative associations. And then like so I even right now just noticed that people talking about comfort or people seemingly being very comfortable, it actually makes me nervous. So that's something I just not too long ago, like when I started writing, I was like, whoa, like that was really revealing to me. It's like oh yeah, like no way that like I understand much better now that when I see somebody getting really comfortable, like in associations with being lazy, not wanting to progress and being laid back and
You're just really playing.
She's just
like
like, that was my tipping point. I was like, no, I can't hold it in. I'm sorry, Dennis.
I'm sorry, Dennis.
So I like to do this thing where I agree and be like, okay, Agnieszka, you like your comfort. It's clear. If you want to stay on the couch for the rest of your life, what do you have to do to be able to attain that goal?
Nothing. I can stay on the couch.
You already did.
I'm there. I'm here. No, I'm in the rocking chair. That's even worse.
I mean, you can until you run out of food in the house.
Somebody would bring me food. Somebody would.
You'd have to pay for it some way. How are you? I mean, you could barter and trade, but that's still work.
Let's make sure we're connecting the two here. So the subject matter is really vision.
Sure.
And so how does the wallowing in comfort kind of also tie into the idea of vision and envisioning your future?
Well, I was saying if that's your goal, you still have to step outside your comfort zone to attain that goal. If you want to stay on the couch for the rest of your life, you need to have some sort of income coming in, have a very lucrative relationship, something.
It doesn't have to be very lucrative to feed and clothe you. I mean, very lucrative is like private jet to Hawaii.
I forget not everyone has tastes that I do.
No, but that's not even the point, because even if I stay on the couch and sit there forever, I can do that. That's open to me. But somebody will take care of me. I live in Canada. Somebody's going to send me money eventually. It's just how it works here. But what dreams would I be giving up? Like unfulfilled desires would I be leaving?
Oh, not even only dreams, but also, the potential that lies within you. Like, how much of that would you be, you just leave it, you leave it unused, and you're not tapping into something or someone that you could be.
But you're talking about my whole childhood, all talking about this. Oh, you have so much potential. It was just so annoying. I found that so annoying as a child.
I think that's why the saying goes that something's wasted on the youth, isn't it? Youthfulness. You don't know how many options you have when you're young because there's just so many.
I don't know. As a child, when like the school counselor or whatever was talking about my potential, I always thought the potential was something out there, but I'm not living up to my potential. So and I could not possibly get there. Like it was this chasm between who I was, not living up to my potential, and that potential that's like out there that Mozart attained. But he was successful when he was 6. Like I'm already older than 6. Even at 8, I was older than 6. So how could I possibly ever attain this potential?
The control mechanism, right? But that is used against you, that is actually holding you back from realizing your true potential, which is not outside yourself. Much to contrary, I would argue.
So it's not the same.
I always felt it was someone else's potential. It was being compared to someone and something else.
It's more like it's a heading towards something. Like if you're in yourself, you can't head towards anything.
So if you have a vision,
heading towards.
Yeah, if you have a vision and you believe that it's unattainable, then a lot of cases you won't start. But if you look at it as, okay, it may be unattainable, but just the process of attempting and challenging myself against those goals and visions will, even if I fall short of that, look what I might accomplish in that effort. And I think it's that idea that we're going to fall short that holds us back from even making an attempt. So those are some of the things that we're trying to recognize and remediate.
I don't know. As a child, sorry, go ahead, Dee.
Yeah, just that's what I was meaning that if it's too much for me to do something for myself, like, oh, I'm feeling insecure right now, well, I can do something that I know will be good for my kids, and that's still okay. That's still heading towards something, even if it's too much to kind of do it for myself. At least I'm getting off the couch and kind of playing Lego because it's for them.
Yeah, kids provide a whole different kind of motivation for people, though. Like, that's a whole new level of motivation.
Yeah. So let's say that we have physical or psychological discomfort. So we have our baggage, and then we have our self-limiting thoughts, and being able to shed our baggage and make attempts to overcome our self-limiting thoughts and get feedback. That's where you end up growing, is even if you get criticized, you keep moving into the uncomfortableness, and then it becomes comfortable over time. And things that seemed impossible in the past now seem like a routine. And then you wonder, okay, what was I afraid of in the first place?
Yeah, I think that's also value, because it is something where when you know how to deal with a problem that other people have, and you're confident in dealing with that problem, you're valuable. And so that's kind of one of the things that life and learning and growing is about, is really kind of discovering the value within yourself through that process of doing difficult things, learning how to deal with them and overcoming them.
In other words, seek long-term comfort or by accepting short-term discomfort.
Absolutely. So Tim, you came up with an interesting exercise in which you envision yourself in the future. Then that person talks to the person that you are today.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit more about that.
So we can talk about that a little bit. I think Agnieszka might have a graphic for us, but as
graphic is up on screen right now instead
fantastic.
Of your face.
Well, I don't know if I can read it, but I can talk about it. So the idea that we do go through a self-discovery exercise, so we understand kind of who we are, and then we're able to drop our baggage by doing other inner work and understanding ourselves. And then as we've been told that we're not enough, or that we're not good enough, or that we're fighting against the inner critic, and we're able to shed some of those ideas that were implanted to us at some point in the past, we can reach beyond that to create a vision that we can then get on a path to attain over time. And part of that, this exercise for this week would be to, if you could do and be anything that you wanted to, what would that look like? And let's say you had a 3 to 5 year time horizon. What would you do for work? What would you wear? How would you feel? What type of relationships would you have? How wonderful would those things be? What type of attitude would you have on a daily basis? What type of barriers would you be breaking down? And just create the strongest vision and paint like an emotional picture. And maybe you write a story, or maybe you draw a picture, or take some photographs, or do a vision board, and then step into that as richly and as sensuously as you can with all of your senses and being. And then from that standpoint, have a conversation with your current self on how awesome that would feel. And what advice would your future self give to your current self on the steps needed to make your way to that place in time and in being? And in that way, we'll have a greater understanding of both the emotional connection to the future pull and the opportunity that is in front of us, And then after that, we'll start to set a direction to move towards those things in the future. So that's the exercise for this week.
Nice. Well, I really like how it was written up by Sam. She did really good wording, and I love the sentence, step into the vision, make it as rich with detail as you can. And then, so what's after? Like, after we complete this exercise on Wednesday, we're going to be talking about a little bit more about what it was like to talk to our future self and what steps we can take now, right?
Yeah, what do we learn from our future self? And then we can start to begin to craft a plan that might not be as far away or out of reach as it seems to us now. And
so what would you say to those people who might say, oh, I can't really envision my future self? How could I imagine this person? I mean, there are so many different possibilities for our future self, but we're selecting the one that's really successful, right?
yeah, and it might be that you just take one dimension or one avenue. If it's too much, you can take relationships or physical or your attitude.
I like to pick out a successful article, a journal article or a news article on one of my idols, and then I write it out as myself.
That's
like
an
that.
interesting
Still work?
exercise. Yeah.
If I can't do it
like
for
that.
myself, if it's too much, then I can just pretend and just pick out it doesn't even have to be one person. It could be a few idols, and I'll just write it in as myself. What do you think?
I like that.
Or sort of like blending all your idols into becoming the person that you would like to be. Like, I like this, but not so much this kind of thing. And then
That's cool.
creating like an avatar, maybe. Like imaginary future alternative avatar.
Yeah, or you could even
Sounds like fun.
do it like a superhero. Just shed all of the baggage of the past and all your preconceived notions about what's possible and dig into your desires.
Yeah, and the key would be not to get stuck in a vision of it. But once you vision it and you really visualize the path from here to there, then taking steps, tiny steps toward that vision so that you're not diverted from your vision. Because that's what comfort does. Like this whole blanket thing, that can divert me from my vision.
Yeah, I think there's also kind of a ritual component in this, like people that like wear, almost like uniforms, when they're a businessman and they put their tie on and they tighten it up and they look at themselves and they see themselves as the businessman. They kind of embody this ideal that they have about themselves. And so there is also kind of that stepping stone towards the vision of who the person that you are, and then taking that back into the rituals that you create that kind of give you that vision and a connection between the vision and who you really are. Like maybe the way you dress or the things you put on, or maybe it's the ring or the necklace you wear, or something that reminds you.
Yeah, and especially for marketing, clothing is key, because appearing the way your customers expect you to appear is a really important factor in them purchasing from you or giving you money, trusting you enough to give you money, right? So as an entrepreneur, it's really important to give your customers what they expect in terms of outfits too.
But let's talk a little bit more about creating the vision and like creating some of those cues that you can utilize in regard to, like, how do you identify the person that you are in the future? What are they wearing? How are they talking? What are the things that make them unique? That maybe then you can incorporate those kind of things into today's existence that might start to create that bridge between who you are now and then. But I don't know. Does anybody else have any more on that?
I had an idea along those lines. So my favorite step was also the same one that Agnieszka pointed out. I actually don't think I changed it all that much from what Tim said. So Tim actually is the credit. He's owed the credit for the wording. Was the step into the vision, make it as rich with detail as you can, write it down, draw a picture, etc. If we all do that, could we possibly come back this week and share those? Because I think that's a really good exercise, like creating, like somehow getting it out of your head, putting it and making it physical. It's weird. It reminds me of like an artist trance where you're just like, you're feeling it, it's all flowing, it's coming out, and then but yeah, I think that's a good practice to talk about.
We could share the aspects that we're not uncomfortable sharing.
That's funny. I just had a surge of fear when you mentioned that. So
Share everything. Well,
right.
because what if my vision of 5 years from now is so grandiose that you guys will think I'm some stuck up bit whatever?
Well, it's not only that, but it doesn't have to conform to what people see you as now, and you might be frightening some people with your vision.
Yeah, like what if I want to be a gymnast?
That might create discomfort.
What if I want to be,
Yes.
a woman or something?
Yes.
My wife wouldn't be too happy about
That would be
That's-
discomfort too.
That's
Although-
easy nowadays. You could
that-
decide right away.
I did hear about a couple who switched genders after 50 years of being married to try the other side.
Then did they switch back?
No, it was like a permanent
After
thing. The
half an
first 50 years of the relationship, you're the guy and I'm the girl, and then we switch. I think it was in Hungary. It's like a real story. I read it.
Now that's payback.
It's kind of just hit
Totally
me.
different level.
But you know what? The guy doesn't get the whole worst parts about periods and PMS. Like, those are the worst parts about being a woman. So at 50, he would get none of that.
Trust me. I don't
Or
know.
no,
Yeah,
50,
I'd imagine
yes.
so. I'd imagine so.
Or childbirth.
Well, I didn't even opt out on that one. That was too scary.
I mean, we don't have to get into an argument about what the worst parts are.
Oh,
That's true.
We
This
got defeated too.
turned into a battle of the sexes.
When they're,
I just remember the whole blanket thing. So when I was in labor with one of my births, it was just kind of it was too much for me. And so I wrapped myself up in a blanket and just like throw the blanket on me. My midwife's like, okay, are you sure? Yep, just put it on me. Just I'm not here right now. It was really comforting because I couldn't do anything. My body was doing what it was doing. It was stretching in ways that it doesn't really do. It's like, stretching a muscle, and I'm allowed to stop when it gets too much. No, not birth. It keeps going. It'll keep pushing that muscle. Even if you want to stop and cry, it's still going to keep going. You're like, trying to do the splits or something. So what about that? I used the blanket then. That kind of comforting, just what about
think-
that scenario?
I have a
I think
quote. I have a quote
comfort-
that fits right.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Okay, like
No,
I have
you
a
go.
quote that Tony Robbins says that all growth starts at the end of your comfort zone. So you just described the end of your comfort zone very vividly. So some growth happen after that.
I was gonna
Okay, Lily.
mention.
Yeah.
So, I had a much better segue into it, but I lost the beginning. It reminded me of what I have read about childbirth in the past, about how sometimes the labor can decrease. Is that the right word? Like, it can kind of stop until either the animal or the human, which we're animals too, gets to usually like a dark, quiet, like safe place. So I think there is a point where your comfort, you have that instinct for a reason. If something really bad happens, you usually actually, this takes me back to the Body Keeps the Score. They did a study and they said that animals of any mammalian family, no matter what their home situation is, when threatened, will always run home. They're looking for a source of comfort, and I think that's a biological need. We're not really sure exactly when to use it. So like, I would assume that when you're giving birth, that's not really a point. Your body knows what it needs to do. It's kind of like, it's not it's a different kind of growth. Like you get through it, I would assume. So your survival instincts kick in. You're like, I want to be in a quiet space. The only thing I have is a blanket. I'm gonna throw a blanket over me. Like, I could see how that would make sense. I'd be like, my own little cave. So yeah, I think that comfort can be very, very useful, but you don't need to wallow in it. Like,
Thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
let's. What do you think about we are where we're at today, looking back at our past self as being at B now, and looking back at a previous situation in which we envisioned who we are, who we became, and who we are now. Who has any stories about situations in which they did envision themselves as they are now, and what kind of situation? Can you envision yourself talking to that person that you were in the past?
I can vaguely remember the conversation, but it was about exercising and deciding to get physically healthier. And now that I'm actually trying to think of it, it's not coming to mind, like the words that I actually wanted to use. But I'll try to summarize a little bit. I basically was arguing with myself about how uncomfortable I was doing yoga, and I started getting the physical and emotional flashbacks that set me off, and I didn't know what to do. I was really uncomfortable just crying or having an episode in the middle of a yoga class, and I stopped exercising. I didn't want to move. I actually stopped wearing anything except for like skirts or pajama pants. Anything was loose fitting. Could not stand to wear most clothes, and it freaked me out for like probably a month or so. But then I was like, okay, in 6 months, where do you want to be? I'm like, well, I would like to be wearing pants again. That'd be nice. I like pants. They're very useful. I like to climb and hike. I tried doing that in skirts. It's not so fun. So I tried to go out and do the things, but I just had this conversation with myself. I'm like, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, I want to be able to go out and exercise and be active the way I want it used to be. And I actually want to be a little bit stronger. So I was like, okay, well, what do you have to do? I started trying out different things, which is what my goal was anyways. And once I found one that stuck, I made a big commitment. So I ended up signing a year contract for jiu-jitsu. So it would force me to go. And yeah, I basically just, imagined what I was going to look like afterwards. That, if someone were.
But now being the person that you are, what would you say to that person that you were to encourage yourself?
I would say, like, it's so weird trying to talk to yourself because you refer to the other one as you. I would say, trust yourself enough to know that when you need a break, you can take a break. That you're not lazy. You're not going to overuse it. You know that you are a good person. Like, trust yourself enough to know that you're not just going to blow this off, that this is important to you. Like, you don't have to keep proving it to yourself kind of thing. Because I would push myself to go way too much and do too much and burn myself out and do the self-fulfilling prophecy where I was like, oh yeah, I'm really not able to do this. But yeah, that's my story.
Can relate to that, like, in many ways, because like I more and more can see myself how I purposefully put myself in discomfort, like continuously or ongoing, and I think it's possible to do that and to train yourself to do that, like whether it's physically, emotionally, to put up with things that are actually discomfortable and that are not really comforting, and telling yourself this is for the achievement of a higher goal of something that you set out to do. But it's also I feel very much that it helped me to advance, like to to certain levels and achieve certain goals, like in many ways. But also it's like a two-edged sword, because if you get stuck in it, and
can you give me an example of that, Dennis? Like, what do you mean it helps you achieve your goals? Like,
the kind of resilience that you develop, putting up with discomfort, or not being bothered again, whether it's like on a physical level like with sleep deprivation, or whether it's even pain, and you develop a resistance to that, so it's like, other people will resist and give up because it hurts a little bit, or because they can't put up, or even hunger, but you continue going on because you have a reason to do so. And then and then if you develop a certain resilience or ability to resist those those things that trigger other people faster, then it's also easier to make that to make that a habit, and to actually maybe achieve what you set out to do, or to just end up in a state that's discomfortable, but it becomes the new norm to be discomfortable. And then the end, I think the goal is to accept some sort of discomfort in order to then end up in a, as I said earlier, long-term comfort, really, very relaxed. But if you over a long period of time are not able to achieve that goal of being in a overall zone of comfort, then maybe it's time to kind of reevaluate if the way or the approach that you have taken is actually really leading you to the goal, or if you get
So
caught up and
basically,
made
what you're
discomfort
saying, so basically, what you're saying, you're describing like getting your first job. Like you'd rather be playing with your friends, but you're gonna take this job because you want money, and money is the reason why you're gonna serve ice cream to some jerky children at the whatever lakeside for 3 months or whatever.
Okay, and then you get
oh,
the money to buy, or you serve the ice cream in order to buy whatever you want to buy with the money, but you
Right.
don't give up the job and move on, but you stick to the same job because you got accustomed to the the security of it, or whatever it is, because it's something that you learn to do, and then you end up spending your whole life in that same job, although you could have done much more.
I was envisioning it was you're relating it to your capoeira, and like how I could do that to build my strengths. When you were talking, that's what I was envisioning.
Yeah, like I certainly would find in my own life situations where even with that, like I would go through pain or through really like severe discomfort in times in order to achieve, certain goals that I would set within the realms of capoeira. But then, and even there, like it's so important because the goals that I had, 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago, they might have shifted in between. So I'm not sure if I come across like clear, but it's like, though, your goals shift, your vision also might shift, or the way you can see that you can achieve. Maybe the vision is the same, but the way um, you can you can see yourself achieving that vision now has changed throughout the years. And then if you get stuck in just, okay, you have to go through this, and I have to persist, and like I haven't made this bother me for 5 years, or why should this bother me right now, and knowing that you have the ability to just persist and go through, knowing that I can put up days at a time with like very little sleep, it doesn't really mean that actually brings me to the fulfillment, to the achievement of the goal. And it doesn't mean that I could not achieve that same goal in a more comfortable way, just because I'm physically able to put up, with that situation. So it's like, that's what I meant, like with the two-edged sword, because it's great to have that resilience, but at the same time, it's great to be able to put up with discomfort, but then you should choose wisely when you do so, and for what reason.
I just don't know if
Thank you.
living on Earth is about suffering, right? It's about the good things in life, having a little ice cream, fulfilling some dreams, enjoying yourself, traveling, experiencing life. Like, why does there have to
No,
be
it is.
pain?
It is the spectrum, though. The spectrum is what makes it so vivid, and you have to have some suffering to also enjoy the pleasures.
Two sides of
Yeah,
the
but
coin, right?
but but my suffering is not going to be your suffering. My joy is not going to be your joy. I might find joy that, oh my gosh, I grew a sweet potato and I was so happy. It was like so big and I was so pumped. And I told my friend, she's like, yeah, that's cool. Like, so I've
It's
done that before.
Right.
There's an example. Like some time ago, it was really icy cold, and there was snow, and there was like icy outside, and I caught the last underground. like, and it's kind of it was far
Metro.
from where I was staying. But, yeah, metro, and so I just jump out and then I run, like, and I run home, and it was just like a 40-minute run or so, and I reach home, and then my mom was waiting there for me because I was staying at my mom at the time. She's like, "Oh my God, like, what did you? And, like, why didn't you come? You could have called me, like, I could have drive down and picked you up."
Why
And
isn't
it was
it
like,
switching to your video? I feel very much on the spot.
so so in that case for her it was like she could not understand at all how I would put up with something like that, because so for her it's so discomfortable, right, to like be out in the snow and in the ice and wet and like sweaty, and I'm like, oh, like, and for me it was fantastic, I was getting some oxygen, I was working out, like I was running through the night, I saw the stars, and it was like it was perfect, it was nice. But for her it was, she associated that with discomfort. For me it was actually comfort. So I think I understand where you're coming from, they do really say that, one man's comfort is another guy's discomfort. So it's really very individual, like what you associate with it.
And the other thing that I thought of when you were talking was how the discomfort that I've caused myself in my lifetime, I wouldn't actually give up because I got more out of it than if I were to never experience it. Like all the most painful experiences, they were well worth it.
So
I
think
was gonna say, I don't think it's rational for human beings to go through discomfort like willingly if they're not going to get anything for it. I 3 times a week go have giant. I wrestle with like big men, and they'll cut their knee across my leg, and oh my God, I want to cry. I want to cry like a little girl. It hurts so bad, and I'm like, I have to realize that I'd rather experience this now than experience this and freak out if someone's attacking me on the street, because that fear is a lot. Like, the joy that it brings me is a confidence, because now I don't feel unprepared. I don't feel like if someone drives their knee into my leg, I'm going to panic, because all of a sudden that hurts so much more than I ever even imagined. I'm glad I kind of get that out of the way, even though it is short term, very, very uncomfortable at times.
T. Harv Eker says, "Nobody ever died of discomfort, yet living in the name of comfort has killed more ideas, more opportunities, more actions, and more growth than everything else combined. Comfort kills."
That's a good meme.
That's the meme.
That's the meme.
You were looking for the meme all day. That's the meme. Write that down.
Make that happen.
We'll post it. We'll
Put
post
the
it on
logo
Facebook.
on it. We'll post it.
Yeah.
So I think one thing that Dennis brought up was persistence. And I think that, we need to reevaluate our persistence at times if we're used to suffering. And if suffering is our standard mode of being, and that's the way that we experienced the world growing up, or in our work or in our pursuits, then maybe we should reevaluate. We don't want to suffer without meaning. So are we directing our efforts in the right area? Maybe there's a higher value somewhere else, or maybe we need a break, or maybe we're barking up the wrong tree. It's just, we can't suffer without thought.
Well, when I went to Quebec, I moved there and I was there for almost 2 years. And it was suffering. I didn't like it at all. I didn't like not having friends. I didn't like people not wanting to be friends with me. I don't know if I had a dark cloud around me or if the people I was meeting were not nice, but I never really acclimatized in this new environment, and I ended up moving back. But the 2 years that I spent there were very, very valuable, because I learned how to be by myself. I learned how to not worry about what other people think about me. I learned not to phone my friends every time I wanted to make a decision. I'd be like, what do you think about this decision? And what do you think about that decision? And in the end, I became a little bit wild, and some of my friends got offended and stopped talking to me, I think. And then, or maybe they will come back in the future. Who knows, right? But in reality, I'm very comfortable with who I am now. Maybe too comfortable. Is it possible to be too comfortable?
Yes.
Yeah. I was actually thinking about my own experience compared to that, and I tried to find like a happy medium where it's like, I'm not, every time I'm upset, I'm not texting someone, but also when I'm really upset, I'm not picking up the phone, going to text someone and then deleting it because I'm like, oh, they got too much on their plate. They, or I don't know how to explain it, or maybe I know that I'm gonna talk to. I've done this with my best friend sometimes. I'm sorry if you're watching. Where like I'll go to text her and I'll be like, no, she's gonna ask me questions about this. She's gonna ask me to talk about it, and I'm like, I'm just not there yet. And sometimes I have to be like, okay, I don't want to talk about it, but I want to say this. So finding that happy medium of not throwing all of your junk at everybody else, but also not hoarding it in your own house.
Yeah, that's a really interesting. I think what Agnieszka might have been describing is comfort with yourself as opposed to seeking to comfort yourself. So comfortable with your person, and you're not necessarily have to seek to comfort yourself by engaging others necessarily.
That's
and
true.
maybe that's something that we could all learn to have more of. I think it's very valuable.
So to bring it full circle back, so from seeing it from that perspective means that Agnieszka, you can perfectly well just stay on your sofa and don't move at all. But there is an ability of finding comfort, like complete comfort right there too.
Well, that came up in my coaching session last week, the whole comfort thing, before we made this decision. And she had me going, okay, why do you like to be so comfortable? And so I stated, and then she said, what are your dreams? And is being too comfortable interfering with you achieving your dreams? And then I had to take a good hard look at my choices in spending time one way or the other.
I like that. I think
that's great.
What Mike was talking about, like, how do you talk to your past self? And I have some experience of that. And I think that I have a personality where I have to see the end game. I have to know what's going to happen. I like certainty, and I do like some comfort, or at least I like to know the path. And it's it's kind of an all or nothing type thinking, which is like a cognitive distortion. And if you don't know it, then you won't start. So I would tell myself now, I would tell my past self that you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be the best. You don't have to be outstanding. You just have to do, just have to try and make an effort. And any effort is better than wallowing in your comfort or being afraid to take step one because you don't know what the outcome is going to be.
Yay, Tim. That's awesome.
I was going to say, but you
great.
are outstanding and you are wonderful. You are all those things.
Agnieszka, stop it.
It's true.
Yeah, I think that's also one of the reasons that we need to embrace the idea of being okay with failure. Is that it is one in which we're learning as we go, and that learning that we do, the experiences that we take in, even if they're harsh and difficult, are actually very valuable. And if we look back from where we were to where we are now, that's probably great advice. That I certainly feel strongly that I could tell myself in the past that, yeah, those failures just keep hitting your head against the wall, because, yeah, a lot of those, they hurt, but man, they've made you into the badass that you are.
Yeah, I mean, we've been trained to put a value judgment on all of our efforts, and in fact, for many years we were actually received a grade for our efforts or an evaluation by some third party, when in reality we should just be collecting failures and putting them in a bag and learning from them. And yeah, just give me an F. I'm going to collect Fs. If I make the effort, that's what counts.
Yeah.
What's that thing that Richard says?
I'm not sure.
I don't remember.
Something about fail often.
Fail your way forward. Collect your failures.
Fail your way forward. Yeah, that's
it says.
Yeah, Richard.
Like 4 hours long.
Yeah, 5 and 7 hours long.
Yeah, that sounds more like it. Yeah, Tim.
All right, so we're going to do an exercise. We're going to do this exercise. Each one of us is going to kind of imagine ourselves in the future and then have that conversation with ourselves. And we'll talk about this more on Wednesday. But in the meantime, we've got to do our little journaling update. So unless anybody's got anything else, we'll head to the journaling update. So who wants to kick it off? Does anybody want to talk about their journaling this past week? Oh, there we go.
I don't know if I'm having issues with my mic, but I guess we'll see later. There seems to be a noise. Anyway, I got this thing earlier this week, and there we go. And
What
so
did it say? You've got this. You've got this.
you got this. Yes. So it has all the stuff for the day, like how much water you drink, and what is there? What you ate, and your notes and doodles, and what the 3 things that you need to do. And then this is a clock, but I actually thought it would be a good pie chart for how I spent my time, like education. And so I haven't started using it yet, but I thought it was cool for journaling and planning and getting things done.
Nice.
I like that.
So Eric actually
So-
sent that to me.
Maybe Eric can post a link for us.
We'll ask him.
So once again, you're kind of upping your journaling game here.
Now I have
So
3
obviously-
things to do every day. I do the regular journal. I was kind of iffy about that last week, but I'm adjusting. I do the Q&A a day, and then I'm doing this too. I'm supposed to write the 3 things every day. So there.
Nice.
I think
Very
it-
nice.
I think it's going to get too much. Keep us posted.
I like
Don't
comfort.
worry. Yeah, I know. That's why I worry.
Well, it's
I
like
didn't-
riding a
I-
bicycle. The more that you kind of train yourself, it seems like it's a lot the first go around, but like pedaling and steering and balancing, that seems like it's incredibly difficult. But at some point you do them all, and then all of a sudden it all works, and it's not that difficult at all. So you can keep building on that kind of improvement.
I
all
see
the
those
time.
people. Mike, I see those people in the neighborhood. They're driving a big truck. They have their phone up on their ear. They have Starbucks in their hand and the dog on the lap. They do it with no problem.
Yeah. It just the complexity just keeps going. You can go in so many different directions.
Just to let everyone know, we
A
are
lot of
not
different-
advising to do that. That is
That's what I was thinking of, like a lot of complex directions coming their way.
like we do not need to get sued for handing out really bad advice.
This is definitely not advice.
This is not an advice column.
Not at all.
This is an experimental columm. Experiment it yourself and tell us what had happened. No, but not that one. No, that
Yeah.
wasn't a good experiment.
Does anybody else
Actually-
want to add to the?
There is something
the
I wrote in
journaling.
my journal today because I was thinking about all the things that I have to do every day now, right? And so being
I know. That's how.
being a
what I'm
butterfly
saying.
last year, and now taking vitamins and exercising and journal and the other journal and the other journal and all of this stuff. And then so I wrote all the list of all the things that I have to do every day now, and then beside it I wrote, is this a cage or a scaffolding towards success?
So if you can make them become habits where you don't think about them, then it's not a choice anymore. It just gets done and you don't think
Yeah.
about it.
We should
It's
make
not
a meme
it's not
out of
burden.
that one.
It's not a burden.
Yeah, and that's one of the things about making a conscious choice about the things that you do. If these things are good for you, then making them automatic.
Especially at my age. Oh, he froze. Let's talk instead. So,
At your age because
I
you're so
have-
young.
because I'm so old. I'm
I had
like,
You look so young.
looks aren't everything.
Willow,
I had
tell
a-
us.
I was gonna say I had a similar experience with the journaling where like I started journaling and then I realized it started with jujitsu because I just started packing everything in and we started the podcast. So the journaling was the final straw where I was like, all right, I need to write this down. I need to write it all. So now I have 4 different notebooks, one for the podcast, one for my jujitsu, one for my actual like. I use the bullet journal method, and so I do like a bullet journal. So I write out like my important things for the day, all my priorities. That's also part of my journaling. Is once I'm done writing my negative things holding me back, and then I'll kind of like ease into other things that I'm dealing with, and then write out my priorities where it's like, okay, I want all of these things done. Now, which ones can I get done today? Which one is the most important? So at least I get something done every day. It helps to build that habit because you're constantly achieving something, because if you can't build a habit if you continuously fail at it, because then you're just building the habit of I keep failing.
What what I learned about my journaling this week is that I accidentally moved the place where I keep my journals so that I remember to write in them every day. And it wasn't that it was far. I usually have them in a bookshelf right in front of me, sitting flat open, so I remember to write in it because I got little red circles around it. But I moved it to my printer, which is, like the next spare space that I have. And I completely have not been motivated to do that because my habit is to have it in my bookshelf. So I found that really interesting. For some reason, I need to put it back there, and that's the place where it works for me. I don't know.
I've also found that the place where I kept my journal made a difference in whether I wrote in it or not.
Yep. If it was within arm's length of me when I woke up, I'm like 10 times more likely to write in it. And if I have to like go and get it out of a bag or go into a different room to get it, I'm less likely to write in it.
It was within an arm's length of me, but it was at my work desk. And so because it was at my work desk, I was like, no, this is no time for journaling. And a couple of days I ended up doing that and not writing. And then I moved it to my leisure space, the living room. And then I find I'm more likely to actually grab it. And so now I actually do it again.
I was excited to catch a few dreams in the last week. And that it has to be like right close by me too, because those tend to disappear quickly after I become conscious or semi-conscious after waking up. But like the most remarkable thing for me was really when I was I started a notebook and I was like, oh, I should probably journal a little bit, and then like what's in my mind, and then the whole comfort theme came to me, and then that was really really revealing as I started to really like just write comfort. How do I define it? What do I associate with it? And I really found out like pretty quickly it was made aware by writing it out that most of the associations that come right away to me are negative with comfort actually, and that's really interesting because like in many ways I could see like how I spend a lot of time putting up with discomfort or like willingly going into discomfortable situations and just becoming accustomed to it. And like I never put comfort, like it never motivated me or was a goal. So I kind of seem to have learned that comfort, if somebody seems to be seeking comfort or whatever I associate with comfort, it's something stagnant and something that's not moving, that's not progressing, that's not being triggered to make a leap forward. And while there's obviously like a big role that comfort itself plays as well. So one of the lessons that I took out of that session that I had to cut short is to in my continued writing to focus on what are some of the positive effects of comfort, and how can I maybe take on a different perspective on comfort and see how that will impact my life from around.
I love how this perspective gets flipped, because a lot of people, when they hear step out of your comfort zone and they're used to being uncomfortable, it doesn't make sense to them, because they're like, I'm already out here. And it's like, no. You're in your comfort zone, being uncomfortable. Try being comfortable. See how that makes you feel. Like it can, you don't even think about it from that perspective, because you're like, what does discomfort and comfort mean to me? Yeah, that's it.
Nice.
And what does comfort look like? What does comfort look like? Because today I'm comfortable on the couch watching TV, but is that comfort, or is that just status quo that I'm maintaining, right? What if my comfort looks like a private jet? I will never get there if I'm sitting on the couch being comfortable.
Yeah, what is your comfort? That's a great question to ask, isn't it?
Not today.
Well,
we have to ask it
listening
Wednesday.
to
Because
listening to what I hear from all of you guys is it seems to me like I like what I'm hearing, because it is one in which you've got to experiment, you've got to try different things, you've got to find what is really comfortable for you when it comes to creating the habits that make a difference, that really do benefit you. And certainly, again, the whole idea of journaling is really because it's such a powerful tool in the positive realization of the person that you are, that it is a habit that you should create in your life. But the fact that you guys are each kind of adjusting it to fit who you are and how it works for you, that's really the effort that needs to be made. And when it does fit, and when you fit perfectly together, it just becomes automatic, and you don't even really notice it anymore. It just is.
And it's all thanks to you, Uncle Mike.
Yeah, well, and that's the idea, is there's a lot of these things, and I think that's what we're all trying to do, is all of the things that we're trying to add to people's lives are these kind of things that once they feel right for you, they become part of you and you become better.
Nice.
And you'll know the difference.
Well, we're almost out of time. I just wanted to mention to our listeners that we did share an exercise of the week on Facebook and Twitter, and on our pages, Raising Excellence or Raise Excellence on Twitter, and that we're also sharing it in this video earlier in the video. So if you're listening, the second half, just do rewind to the beginning, and we talk about the exercise earlier in the video. Does anybody else have any closing remarks?
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Nice.
Kennedy has one. He says, too often we enjoy the comfort of opinion without the discomfort of thought.
Ooh.
You're just full of deep thoughts tonight, Dennis.
Keep it coming, Dennis.
Make memes out of them.
Yeah.
Those are good memes. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening.